We're always looking for the next big success strategy. But what if I told you the most powerful principle out there is ancient? It's not about growing, it's about enduring. Today, we're talking about the art of not collapsing.
You've heard this a million times, right? Primum non nocere. It's that famous oath from medicine. And it sounds so simple, almost too simple. But trust me, there is some serious power hiding inside these four little words. And this is how we usually see it, isn't it? We think do no harm is just advice for people who are too timid, people who are afraid to take a real risk. It feels passive, like it's telling us to hesitate when we should be acting.
Okay, but let's just flip this on its head for a second. What if this has nothing to do with weakness? What if do no harm is actually the single most aggressive, most powerful strategy for survival and for growth? For making sure time is on your side, not working against you. So that brings us to Act 1 of our story here, what we call the action bias. This is basically baked into our culture, right? This deep nagging feeling that we have to always be doing something, that any kind of movement is the same thing as progress. And what's wild is how this bias just pops up everywhere in our lives. When it comes to our money, it's that itch to constantly trade stocks. In our careers, well, that's just the hustle culture that leads straight to burnout. In our health, oh yeah, it's those crazy extreme diets or workout plans that you just know are going to crash and burn. We get so obsessed with doing something that we often just end up messing with things that were working perfectly fine to begin with. And here is the absolute core of it. The thing that's driving all this frantic and often harmful action, it's not really a desire to make progress. It's FOMO. It's that deep, gut-level fear of being left behind. We aren't really afraid of the damage we might do. We're terrified of missing out.
This really boils down to two totally different ways of thinking. See, most of us, we're programmed to ask the question on the left, what's the upside? How much can I win? But the survivor, the person who lasts, they ask a much smarter question. What's the downside? If this all goes sideways, am I still going to be in the game? That one little shift in perspective, it changes everything.
All right, let's move on to Act 2. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's where the consequences of that action bias start to get, well, painfully real. This is what happens when our ambition just decides to ignore reality. And this is the wisdom you get from that collision, usually the hard way. You learn that just being durable is so much more important than short-term intensity. You finally realize that avoiding a truly catastrophic mistake is a way better strategy than always chasing these fleeting moments of genius. Let's make this super concrete. Imagine your investment portfolio, or hey, even just your personal energy level, takes a huge hit. It drops by 50%. Ouch. That's a big loss, but you think, okay, I can recover from this. But now look at this. This is the part that blows my mind. To get back to even, you don't just need a 50% gain, you need a 100% gain. You have to double what you have left just to get back to where you started. This simple, brutal math shows you exactly why avoiding those huge losses is everything. The hole is always, always harder to climb out of than it was to fall into. And the idea of ruin goes way beyond just money. Some losses, they're permanent. You can't just earn back someone's trust after it's been completely shattered. You can't just buy a new body once your health is broken for good. These are the real stakes. So that brings us to this concept we can call life leverage. Think about it. It's when we borrow from our future selves. We use up our health, our time, our very sense of who we are, all for some quick win right now, while the real, long-term damage just piles up under the surface where we can't see it. And we do this stuff constantly. Pulling an all-nighter to hit a deadline, that's leverage. Saying yes to every single request, that's taking out a loan against your time. Always trying to please everyone else, that's leverage against your own integrity. These things might feel productive in the moment, but they're slowly, quietly, just eating away at our foundation. So, the big question is, how do we fix this? Well, that leads us to Act 3, the survivor's strategy. And it's not about adding some new, complicated system to your life. No, it's about the simple, profound power of subtraction. This is the old question. This is the one that's driven by our action bias. It's always looking for something to add. What new habit can I start? What new project should I take on? What new thing can I tack onto my life? But the survivor, they ask a completely different and a way more powerful question. They ask, what should I stop doing? What do I need to remove? What's draining me? What's making me fragile? What is creating all this risk for basically no real reward? It's a total shift from addition to subtraction. And this is why this whole strategy can feel a little
uncomfortable. See, action gets you applause. It gets you noticed. But smart restraint, saying no, choosing not to do something, protecting your energy, that's quiet. That's silence, though. That's very often the actual sound of long-term survival.
When it comes right down to it, the whole point of do no harm isn't to be timid, it's to be incredibly strategic. It's all about protecting your optionality, your freedom to make choices in the future by simply avoiding the kind of mistakes that close those doors for good.
You have to realize that not all mistakes are created equal. Some are just lessons. Yeah, they sting, but you learn from them and you get back up. But others are endings. They're the mistakes that take you completely out of the game. The entire art of survival is just learning to tell the difference between the two before you make your move.
So, this all leads us to the final takeaway. Your single most powerful, most strategic move you can ever make, it's not about winning one big jackpot. It's about protecting your ability to stay in the game long enough for all those small wins to start adding up.
I mean, really think about that for a second. The magic of compounding, whether it's with your money, your knowledge, your relationships, it only works if you survive. It only works if you don't collapse. You have to stay intact day after day, year after year. Survival is the absolute engine of all long-term growth. Period.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final question to chew on. Forget about what you think you need to add to your life for a minute. Instead, ask yourself this: what am I doing right now, today, that is bringing unnecessary risk into my life? Find that thing and then remove it. I promise you, you will move forward faster than almost anyone else, not because you're sprinting, but because you've learned how to simply not collapse.